All this, Tyler, it's like the micronutrient mental hurdle.
All right.
Because when we talk fertility, we are really good at talking tons of, a product because we always think about NP and K. And so it can be hard for people to wrap their heads around how a measly little quart of a foliar feed, that might weigh just a couple pounds of solution can all of a sudden go and help us get 5 extra bushels, over 200 pounds of more dry matter. Like, how can that happen? And really, it's because if we really dive into what are these micronutrients doing, I'm going to call these efficiency components. So they are helping all of that other fertility investment that those growers have made in helping them work more efficiently. So when we help them work more efficiently, we should get more bushels. So I'm just going to go through this really quick, okay? But so when we talk about micronutrients, we're talking about micronutrients because you need such a small volume of them. So I put on the screen here an example of the dry matter content of a corn plant. So if you look at, you're going to click for me, Tyler. So if you just look at what is 96% of a corn plant, it's oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. So like things we don't even pay for. Like that's what the majority of the plant is.
I could probably sell you some.
You could. I bet
Yeah.
you. I bet you could sell me at a good price
Yeah.
too, couldn't you?
Oh yeah. I got a
So
heck of a deal.
now let's talk about the next couple ones. So the ones we usually think about, NP and K. NP and K, if you look at a whole plant, is only about 4 to 5% of the dry matter. Okay, so Tyler, you made me do a math problem.
Yep.
That's your turn. So what does this really leave if 96% and 4%, are made up of those, elements? What do we have left for our micronutrients?
Zero.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a rounding error, but if you actually kind of, if you actually do the decimals here, it's a very, very small fraction
Right.
for the micronutrients that are actually in that total dry matter. So how can that tiny fraction make a difference, right? That's the challenge. So here's my analogy. Okay, so if you think about just a regular pickup driving down the road, okay, ballpark, it's going to weigh somewhere in that 5,000 pounds. Okay, so what do we need to actually make that 5,000 pound vehicle drive down the road? Okay, well, we probably, need to have a body. Yeah, we need to have the components there. So, all right, so that's about 96% of the total weight of that vehicle. Next, we need to have a little bit of fuel, right? So if I look at a tank of fuel that's full, it's about 4.5% of that total volume. But then finally, I need to have one last thing. That engine needs a little bit of oil, right? And able to,
It
in
does
order to,
work better.
it
Yeah.
works way better and it's going to work way longer, So this is what you need to have to make this whole, outfit work. Now, do those percentages look a little familiar to what we just talked about for that plant?
For sure.
They're about the same.
Right.
So think about, yeah, could I go drive a vehicle with no oil for a little bit?
Sure.
Maybe.
Have you
For the
tried it?
longevity, no.
Oh.
Now, have I pushed past my oil change lights? A few times I have. But just think about that, guys. Micronutrients for your crop is no different than having that oil for your engine in your vehicle. Yeah, you can make it go for a while, but at some point you're going to have challenges and you're not going to get as much value out of all the other pieces you've paid for.